Hi, I'm Katie Halcrow with Power Up Prep, and I'm super excited today to take you through some tips and strategies to help you power up your ACT. If this is your first time with us, first, welcome. Second, check out the link below. There, you're going to find the ACT questions and the note sheets that you can do along with these videos. All right, so let's get those materials together, and we're going to be ready to power up. Okay, so another thing that gives people fits on the ACT is figuring out who versus whom or which versus that. But I've got some tricks for you to help you get these questions right. So let's talk about overview when we use who, whom versus when we use which, that. So we use who or whom if we're talking about people, and we use which or that if we're talking about things. So if you're talking about a person, you're going to use who or whom. If you're talking about a thing, you're going to use which or that. Or a thing or a place, you're going to use which or that. Let's talk about which and that first, because those are easier to cover. They're much more straightforward. So if you need to use the word which, you have to make sure that there's a comma before your which phrase. So if you're going to use which, comma goes beforehand. That, though, needs no comma. So if you're talking about a thing and there's a comma, you're going to use which. If you're talking about a thing and there's no comma, you're going to use that. Now, who and whom is a little bit more complicated. So let's dig into who and whom for a second. So there are some words that can help us determine whether or not we're going to use who or whom. So who corresponds with he and they, and whom with an M corresponds to him or them with an M. So that's how you can remember them. So who corresponds to he, they, whom corresponds to him, them. Then what you're going to do is you're going to try those words. So try he, they, him, them in the phrase that has the who or whom in it. So where you have to decide on the who, whom, you're going to put those words into the phrase and see what you need. So and you got to make sure that you're not doing it in the whole sentence, just that one phrase. So let's turn to some examples here. So example number 1 is, I like people blank like to laugh. So we're talking about people here. So we know we're going to be using a who or a whom. So let's look at that who, whom phrase. So would we say he like to laugh, they like to laugh, him like to laugh, or them like to laugh? We would say they like to laugh. And because we would say they like to laugh, we're going to use the word who. So I like people who like to laugh. Does that make sense? Okay, number 2. Number 2 is Maddie likes curtains, blank, have blue polka dots. So we're talking about curtains. So we're going to be using a which or a that. And I don't see a comma here. So we're going to put in that. So Maddie likes the curtains that have blue polka dots. Now, number 3, the lady with blank I work is nice. So this is another one where it's talking about a person. So we have to look at that person phrase and then plug in those different options. So we have, and our verb, our phrase here with the who, whom is going to be with blank I work, because the lady is nice is our sentence, and then with blank I work is that phrase. So would we say with him I work, with them I work, with he I work, or with they I work? And we would say with him I work or with them I work. So because we would say with him or with them, we're going to use whom there. So the lady with whom I work is nice. We're going to use him or them, so we put in the whom. Okay, and then the last one. My husband has a long commute, blank, he doesn't like at all. So for this one, what we're going to do is, well, we know it's not a person, right? Because it's talking about the commute. So since we're talking about a commute and it's a thing or a place, it's a thing, we're going to use which or that. And in this particular sentence, there's a comma right after the commute. And because there's a comma after the commute, we know that we need to use the word which. We can't use the word that because it doesn't have a comma before it, but which does. So my husband has a long commute, comma, which he doesn't like at all. I could change this sentence and take away the comma and say, my husband has a long commute that he doesn't like at all. Same sentence, same meaning. But if there's a comma, we use which, and if there's no comma, we use that. All right, so remember, who, whom is for people, which, that is for things. If it's a who, whom, you can decide by subbing in those words, he, they, him, or them, and seeing what works in that who, whom phrase. And if it's a which or that, if it has a comma, you use which, and if there's no comma, you use that. All right, we're all set. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them below. We love to hear from you. Also, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss out on any of our curriculum or other tips and tricks that can help you power up your ACT.